Hello. I've lived in the Midlands for many years, and like most people, a safe and well-maintained home is important to me. Now, in the next few weeks, you will need to make a very important decision about your home. Whether it should transfer, along with the rest of the council's housing, to a new landlord set up with the support of the council. I've been looking into the reasons for this and finding out how it could affect you. Over the years, the council has provided rented homes for local people. Homes that are safe, provide a good environment for growing families, and offer a peaceful and secure retirement for older people. But there's a problem. The council doesn't have the money needed to maintain and improve the housing and do other things you've said you want.
I've been here 3 years. I've still been waiting for a new front room window. It's never been done.
We don't seem to get much satisfactory repairs done. If you ask for things, they're either bodged up or they've never got the finances to do them properly.
Basically, you don't get the services that you're paying for in your rent.
Because, as you say, the council haven't got the money, and money's always needed for whatever progress has to be made.
Well, I thought we was very secure as we are. I feel secure.
I think the main one is the one that most of the tenants have about their lack of rights, or whether their rights will change with the transfer of the housing stock.
The council has always tried to provide high-quality, affordable housing. Last year, there was an independent review of the service. This showed that it will cost £6.4 million a year for 5 years to bring all the housing up to a good standard. That's a total of £32 million. But last year the council was only able to spend just over £1 million. That's why the council has decided to consult all of its tenants about the possibility of transferring the ownership and management of your homes to Trent and Dove Housing. So, how would this new organisation work? Trent and Dove Housing would be a new, locally based organisation specially set up by the council. It will be monitored and regulated by an independent government body called the Housing Corporation. It will be a non-profit making organisation which will keep any surplus money to improve the housing service. A board of management working on a voluntary basis would run the new landlord, rather like councillors do now. But the crucial difference is that tenants will be part of this board. So for the first time, tenants will have a direct say in how their homes are managed. Basically, there will be 5 tenants, 5 people put forward by the council, and 5 other people with skills to help run this kind of organisation. But transfer isn't a foregone conclusion. It can't happen without your agreement. And while the council believes that it's in your best interests, the decision lies with you, the tenants. Well, with me now are councillors Dennis Heptonstall and Ken Bilth, leader and deputy leader of East Staffordshire Borough Council. Dennis, why are you asking tenants to consider this transfer proposal? Isn't that just the council wanting to sell off the family silver?
No, we're not selling off. We are transferring to an independent organisation set up by the council and the tenants, which has actually been called Trent and Dove by the tenants. The purpose is simple. The council cannot raise the money, unable to do so. This new organisation will be able to raise it and spend it. It's in the interest of the tenants, and that's why we're going ahead.
So when they get the money, Ken, how will they know what to spend it on?
Well, we recently carried out a survey of the condition of our housing stock, and we'll use this information to help prepare the transfer proposal. This will also include the programme of works planned by Trent and Dove Housing.
Dennis, the transfer needs the support of tenants. Now, what if it doesn't go ahead?
Well, that will present the council with several difficult decisions. Either we would have to raise rents consistently above inflation, or reduce our level of service to the tenants, or probably a combination of both. And that's why we're making the proposals that we are, and we would want to encourage all our tenants to take part in the ballot, because it is their homes that we're talking about, and it's in their interest to do so.
Well, thank you both very much indeed. So, according to the council, if the transfer doesn't happen, things won't get any better and will probably get worse. So what does transferring really mean for tenants? Cindy Goodison is one of the council's senior housing officers. She's been visiting tenants in their homes to answer their questions.
What will happen to the rent?
The aim of the transfer is to keep rents low in the future. Trent and Dove Housing will give each transferring tenant a legally binding rent guarantee. This means that your basic rent couldn't be increased by more than the rate of inflation plus 1% in each of the first 5 years after the transfer. With Trent and Dove Housing, the basic average rent for a 3-bedroom house would rise to £53.16 by 2006. If the housing stays with the council, the basic rent for a 3-bedroom house would rise to £59.58. If the council just carried out basic maintenance to the housing. If the council was to match the same works as Trent and Dove Housing, its rents would almost double after 5 years.
So what about after the guarantee? Will the rents go up by a huge amount?
No, Trent and Dove Housing will be a non-profit making organisation, so it will only set rent levels to cover the cost of delivering the housing service. This means it won't have to put its rents up more than is absolutely necessary. Any surplus will be ploughed straight back into the delivery of the service. And remember, 5 elected tenants on the board would help set the rents. The Housing Corporation would also monitor rent rises. It currently states that annual rent increases are no more than 1% above inflation, the same as during the 5-year rent guarantee.
So what would happen to the daily repair service?
It'll continue. Trent and Dove Housing would work to improve standards and response times. But the big advantage of the transfer is that Trent and Dove Housing will be able to carry out a full programme of works to the housing. It will also be able to spend more on planned maintenance than the council.
So what improvements are we going to get?
Trent and Dove Housing would carry out a 5-year programme of repairs and improvements. This will bring all the properties up to a modern standard. This could include new double glazed windows, rewiring, better insulation and external repainting. And if you choose to have a new kitchen, bathroom or central heating, you would be charged extra rent. This would be just £1.50 a week for central heating and £1 each a week for new kitchens and bathrooms.
We have many rights. How will these be affected?
The new tenancy is designed to match the security and rights of tenants. It would be legally binding and could only be changed with the consent of individual tenants. Tenants who transfer from the council will have security of tenure with the right to remain in their homes and pass them on to members of their family like now. They will also have the preserved right to buy their homes, with their years as a council tenant still counting towards their discount. All of the major tenancy rights will be protected as well. This includes the right to take in lodgers, transfer to another suitable property, or exchange with other tenants. Tenants will also continue to have their right to be consulted and receive information about the housing service. If the transfer goes ahead, the rent to mortgage scheme would no longer apply, but this has never been taken up by an East Staffordshire tenant.
Many council tenants live in sheltered housing schemes, and the council has been listening to their views. Dee Griffiths is scheme manager at Highwood Court, Uttoxeter.
What about services for older people?
Well, Bob, if transfer takes place, we will be keeping the service we have and aim to improve it. Our tenants will still live in the same place with the same scheme manager, and they'll still receive the same support through the community alarm.
Lots of tenants are on housing benefit. Will they still be able to claim?
Yes, transfer would not affect a tenant's entitlement to claim housing benefit. It would still be paid through the council as it is now.
Now we've heard the answers to those questions, let's hear from Trent and Dove Housing. Over the past few months, Councillor Tom Dawn has been helping to set it up.
Tom, what we've heard so far sounds too good to be true. How can it carry out all these improvements and keep rents low?
At the moment, tenants subsidise the cost of housing benefit from their rents. Last year, this cost £3.7 million. But if transfer goes ahead, this would no longer be the case, and all of tenants' rent money would be available to spend on their housing.
That's all very well, but tenants are worried that transfer is a big leap into the unknown.
Not at all. Over 100 councils in England have transferred their housing, including places near here, like South Staffordshire, Lichfield and Newcastle under Lyme. These new organisations have kept the promises they made to their tenants. Transfer is simply a way to get the investment in housing that is so desperately needed.
But won't transfer mean big changes for tenants?
No, not in day-to-day terms. Trent and Dove Housing will keep the good things that tenants like about the housing service. No tenant will have to move because of transfer, and tenants will still deal with the same staff.
Eileen Sinfield, you're chairman of the Best Forum, and you've been looking closely at the details of this transfer. Now, what is this role involved?
We've looked at the programme of repairs and improvements and also the rent guarantee. We've also been consulted about the new tenancy agreement, which will be given to every tenant should the transfer take place.
So who will decide whether the transfer goes ahead?
The tenants will decide. Every tenant will have a secret vote. The ballot will be conducted by an organisation independent from the council, but it's vital that everybody votes because our view will count.
So, Eileen, what would you advise tenants to do?
Find out all the facts. Speak to the independent advisors if you're unsure of anything, but above all, please vote.
Thank you, Eileen. Well, finally, let's hear from a tenant who has first-hand experience of transfer.
So far, more than 100 transfers have taken place all over the country. David Dean lives in Great Worley, where the tenants of South Staffordshire District Council transferred to South Staffordshire Housing Association 3 years ago. David is a tenant representative on its management board.
There wasn't really much wrong with the council service. The council had a problem in that governments weren't allowing them enough money. They do now allow associations enough money to operate with. In the beginning, I had my doubts, but I investigated it outside of South Staffordshire area and looked at other associations, and I thought that it could only be good. The immediate change when we became an association was that the executives, the directors of the association, listened most intently to what the tenants wanted. And in the last 2 years, they have, in my opinion, given us everything that we asked for. The council were in no position at all to do that because they had no money. We have built new homes since we became an association. The council have been unable, due to finances, to build any homes in the last 18 years. We have a tenants consultative committee, we have tenants representatives on every subcommittee, and 5 tenant board members who sit on the board of management. I would say that we have more control of our future as tenants than any other member of the board. Comparing this with when we were with the council, tenants had, in my opinion, no say whatsoever. I'm not criticising your council, I do not know your council, but your council do not have the money or the means of getting the money that you will be able to get when you are an association.
During this programme, we've discovered that the council has helped to set up Trent and Dove Housing because it believes it offers you, its tenants, the best future. But it is up to you to make the final decision. So let's recap on what would happen if you vote for transfer.
Trent and Dove Housing will be able to offer things that the council can't, such as an extensive programme of repairs and improvements, a 5-year rent guarantee, low long-term rent forecasts, and a direct tenant voice in decision-making. You would also continue to enjoy a secure home for life, the right to a repairs service, the right to housing benefit, the right to pass on your homes, and the preserved right to buy. We've tried to cover as much as possible in this short video. There's more detail in the formal consultation document.
Good afternoon, Transfer Helpline. How can I help you?
But if you've any questions or you're worried about anything, you can phone the council on the free phone helpline. Dial 0800 169 5538 and talk to a member of staff who'll be pleased to help. You won't be charged for the call. You can also contact your independent advisors, Libra. Their free phone number is 0800 328 0779. Libra has a great deal of experience in advising tenants on housing transfer. They'll answer all your questions confidentially, impartially and free of charge. And you can find details of how to contact the Council and Libra in the most recent issue of Homefront.
The Council believes that the best way to achieve the improvements you want to your homes and affordable rents now and in the future is to transfer to Trent and Dove Housing. But remember, it can only go ahead if you, the tenants, vote in favour of it. Remember, it's your home, your future and your choice. So please, use your vote.